Okay, guys, like I said, welcome to workshop 4 of Turn Takeoff. It's our last workshop of 2021. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. It is called Access to Finance, and we are going to be talking about tips, tricks, ways to access all different types of fundraising, and specifically 4 types that might be relevant to your business: loans, grants and donations, crowdfunding, and angel investments. And we actually are so blessed to have experts from these 4 different fields who are here to share with us insider insights about these 4 different funding streams. Okay. So this is how we're going to do it. First and foremost, we are going to talk about things that are relevant to anyone who are looking to raise finance for their business. So a little introduction to fundraising. Then we're going to break off into 4 different breakout sessions. And most of you, in fact, all of you, have already chosen which breakout room you think you want to go to. And there we will listen to a presentation from experts and then have lots of times for question and answer directly with those experts. We'll come back and we'll discuss bootstrapping, which if you don't know now, you'll know by the end of this workshop, is something that you're all likely going to do in addition to raising finance of some sort. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Our alumni and other non-takeoff entrepreneurs can then head off and do something different with the rest of their evening. And the takeoff folks are going to stay behind. We're going to do a 1-to-1 mentor breakout where we're going to start talking about our fundraising strategies with our mentors. And then we'll just do a 5-minute New Year celebration to say goodbye to 2020. All right, let's end. You guys, as usual, we have goals, because without goals, what exactly would we even be doing? We'd be running in place. We'd be going nowhere fast. That's not us. We have goals. 3 goals to be precise, okay? First and foremost, to learn more about fundraising, to demystify fundraising, so to make it less of a strange mystery and more of a process that we can understand and even pursue. We are going to ask questions to experts, okay? Today we have this wonderful opportunity to hear it straight from the horse's mouth from people who actually work every day, day in and day out in these financial fields. So this is a big chance to ask your questions directly to them, those who are capable of actually answering in a uniquely informed way. So make sure to speak up and ask your questions during the breakout sessions, okay? That's a goal that I'd love for you to meet if you can. Lastly, you've all been working hard on your financial plans in your financial planning tool. You're going to start piecing together a strategy for who you might approach, what you might ask for, when and how you will ask for it, and researching the different people you might ask from. The great thing about learning more and about making a plan around fundraising is that you can start to connect your other activities to your fundraising plan. Okay, so if you create a website, if you make an event around your business, if you create a new website, if you do a social media campaign, if you create a new product or service, you can actually integrate or meld together your funding strategy with all of these different things that you're doing for your business. So that's why it's so important to learn about it and to understand it so that you can see where you can use it. Funding options. Funding options we are going to talk about today. So first, we got our good old classic loan, okay? A loan is money that you have to repay, often with interest. It can be money from the bank, it can be money from another financial organization or entity of some sort, but you have to pay it back, and oftentimes you pay it back with interest. Bootstrapping. This might be a new term for some of you. Basically, it means that you don't take third-party funding for a while at all. So you first just do it with your savings, with money that you get from your sales, so your profits that you reinvest, okay? It's a form of finance that almost all early stage entrepreneurs know very well. And it helps you to build evidence around the impact of your business. So we are going to talk a lot more about that a bit later. Angel investment. This is when someone takes a stake in your company. Okay, somebody finances you, and in exchange, they get shares. They get a percentage of your profits. They get some level of control. So often 5 to 10% control of your business, sometimes as much as 20 in the beginning, because they want your business to succeed and they want to benefit from the growth of your company. Because as you earn money, they earn money too. And so they are looking for a return on their investment, okay? But the payoff can be much higher in the long run for them. So it's a strong investment sometimes for an angel investor. There's crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is really fun. It's relying on many people instead of just one person or one organization to give a little bit of money. So instead of one giving a lot, it's many giving a little. And this is a great way to fund something that has a social mission, a nonprofit, a community interest company. It's also a great way to fund a new design or a new product if you have a large community that's interested in what you're doing, because you can take pre-orders through a crowdfunding campaign. So that's another type. And we've got, of course, grants, donations. These generally go towards projects that serve a community in some way, social service project, or businesses, commercial businesses whose production process has a social impact. Even if they're otherwise commercial, if you are empowering people or having some kind of social impact, you might be able to access grant funding, which essentially you don't ever need to pay back, which is really amazing. We have experts on all of these topics, okay? And like I said, as you know, you've chosen one breakout that you'd like to join. Don't worry if you're like, I want to access all of these. We are going to be recording each one of these breakout sessions, and you will be able to access them later. And thank you so much to our speakers for being here and giving us the ability to do that and to offer all of this really amazing information to our entrepreneurs. Now, in terms of key things that you want to remember before we break out, okay, no matter what kind of finance you raise, the questions will be the same, okay? 4 main questions you want to keep in mind. First, for what? What are you raising this funding for? You need to be very clear, very concise and concrete. Is it for salaries so that you can work professionally, so that you can work full-time on this? Is it for equipment that will help you to produce more faster? Is it for rent on a premises or a pop-up location? Is it for subscriptions or for digital services that will allow you to do your work? Is it for training or qualifications for yourself, for your staff? It could be any of these are valid, but they need to be concrete and specific. How much do you need? And remember that this sum of how much is something you want to be working on, chipping away at, squeezing, making smaller and smaller, okay? You need to have a clear plan on what you're going to fund, how much it costs you specifically, and get that cost to be as low as possible. When? It needs to be clear when you need it. So sometimes sourcing a funding pathway, figuring out how to apply, putting in your application, going through a process of having your application looked over, and actually getting the finance might take a while. So you want to plan ahead, you want to manage your expectations for time, and you want to make sure you get the funding on time to be able to kick off the way that you mean to in your business strategy and your plan, your roadmap. And lastly, sorry guys, I'm getting a little scratchy. Whew. Lastly, you want to understand who might be able to fund you, which organizations are interested in what you do, who might be the type of funder that you want involved in your life. Is it a good fit? You're going to learn about a few of the types of funders in your breakouts, but it's not going to be so targeted because it's not going to be really individual suggestions for your business because there's so many different businesses here represented. So what you will do is pick up a few threads, learn about a few new things. You can pick those up and go deeper with your own research and identify specific funders that are relevant to you in these different funding categories. There's two things that no one can forget when they're fundraising, no matter who they are. All funders have these in common, every single one. It's universal, okay? You need to make them excited and you need to convince them with facts, okay? If you don't have these two things, you're very unlikely to get funding from anyone, okay? So first and foremost, to make them excited, you need to be passionate. Either you feel you're helping people, you feel that your product or service is beneficial to people, you're committed to it, you're set on doing it. It's not just a maybe, it's not just a phase, it's a definite. Your heart is in it. It's all you. Your passion needs to show through. It's very important that you show them who your users and your customers are, okay? This is because successful businesses, as we always say at Turn, successful business types know their users very, very well and are creating something that is very useful to their customers. Okay, so they're going to want to know who you're targeting, who you're providing solutions for, what needs you are covering with your product or service, and what difference it's going to make in the lives of your users. They want to know, the funders want to see that you can be successful, and in order to be successful, they're going to want to know how useful you are and how well you solve your users' problems. You're going to have a clear product or service. Your MVP is ready. It's professional. It's ready to add value to the lives of your users. And you'll need to explain, of course, what is unique about it, what sets it apart in the market. So your USPs and why they should care about it. And friends, it's a bonus to have an exciting brand. Not all funders are going to expect you to have a full brand. But as you know, a brand is a way to communicate your message in a sensory way, in an emotional way that makes people feel certain things. So of course, it can help with making your potential funder feel excited or feel connected if you already have a brand. And it shows that you've been thinking this all through, and it shows that you've invested and that you're savvy and you're a professional. So it's going to tell a lot about your story and make you look more ready for funding. And of course, convincing them with facts. The other side of the heart is the head. Of course, you want to show them evidence from a test. Have you gotten feedback? Have you refined it with real users? Do you have reviews to show? Engagement on your social media. So you want to show them that something is already alive, it's in action. And some of you are like, well, I can't show them that because I need the funding to make this thing come alive. Yeah, of course. But again, here we're going to emphasize the value of bootstrapping, the value of getting started with your MVP early and often, because doing something with what you have right now can show the funders that you are flexible, you are adaptive, that you're pushing for this, and it will give you this evidence that is so vital to show that you are already started and already having an impact. You want to demonstrate that you have relevant skills and qualifications. In some cases, that will be legally required, of course, but also it could show that you've been pursuing expertise in this path, that you're very experienced, that you're a more safe bet, to show that you're trading in a legal, but also in a high quality way. If you have a clear fundraising ask, so you know exactly what you're going to spend the money on, how much it costs, why it's needed, and how long it will take to see a return on your investment, that's going to be a lot more convincing than I need 20,000 pounds and that should do it, you know? So you need to be really specific and show that you've put in the work to forecast, you know, your financial plan. Finally, aside from your skills, aside from your experience, it's also important that your business is registered, that it's compliant, that it's real. And if your industry has specific regulations, it needs to be registered with the government, and that all of the different people that you have working for you should be legitimately working for you, et cetera, and showing all of that to the funder, again, to show that you are real. And we will be, of course, covering this in Workshop 5 in January, Trading Safely, and also in our webinar with the Small Business Research and Enterprise Center in January, how to trade safely. Here we go, friends. We've got 4 experts with us tonight. We've got Greg Tipper. Hi, Greg. He is a senior business advisor at British Business Bank. He works with startups, startup loans in particular. So he's going to be working with Tim from our on-demand team to tell you about loans. We've got Andy Davis. Hi, Andy. He's our angel investor. He is a co-founder of the investment company 10 by 10, and he's going to be talking to our potential angel finance interested people. We've got Caroline Gormley. She is a fundraising specialist. I believe she works primarily with hospitals. Amazing. Thank you, Caroline. She's going to be here to share her wisdom about grants and donations, in particular, raising funding as a nonprofit. And we've got Bertie back again from last year. He is a crowdfunding expert. He's going to be talking to us about how to craft a successful crowdfunding campaign and raise lots of money from lots of different people. So here we go. We've got presentations. There will be time to ask questions. Before we break out, does anybody have any questions?
Wow, that was so fun. Thank you so much to our experts. Now, many of you might be thinking, oh man, I have so many questions. That was such a great breakout. I wonder what all the other breakouts were like. I wonder how many questions I would have for those 3 other funding streams. Don't worry, we will be uploading all of the recordings onto our Access to Finance Notion page, which we will then share with you when it's ready. So there will be crowdfunding, loans, grants and donations, and angel finance all up there ready for you to watch in the next few days. So you haven't missed anything. Thank you so much to our experts. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Bertie. And thank you, Andy. We really appreciate your time and your wisdom. So again, as we're approaching finance, doesn't matter which one of these 4 finance streams or any other finance pathway that you take, you're going to be asking yourself 4 main questions. For what do you need the funding? How much funding do you need? When do you need it by to really make a bang? And who is going to be able to fund you? Who do you want funding you? And who will want to fund a project like yours? Some of you are thinking, I don't know the answers to these 4 questions yet. Maybe you're thinking fundraising is very complex. Wow. Or you're thinking fundraising is going to put a lot of pressure on my business development. I don't feel like I'm ready for this. Or maybe, like many other early stage entrepreneurs, just like yourself, you're thinking that you might want to start with bootstrapping. And even if you do want to raise external finance, you're likely going to want to do some bootstrapping alongside your fundraising plan. Okay. If you do bootstrap, you'll be in very good company, as most successful businesses bootstrapped in their early days, including some of the biggest businesses that we know, like eBay, Apple, Oracle, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, the list goes on and on. Again, bootstrapping is when you develop your business slowly and steadily without external finance at first. So it means maybe you are working a full-time job and using your personal savings or you and your partner's savings to feed into the business. Or it can mean that you begin trading on a small scale and you are pouring the profits carefully back into the business growth. So you're using what you sell to reinvest into the company and build it. So it's building a company from personal finance or from the operating revenues of the new company. Okay. And building it slowly but surely that way. It comes from this old American saying, pulling oneself up from their bootstraps. So basically, you're wearing boots in like the 18th or 19th century, and you're pulling them on by tugging at them really hard. That's literally what it means. It means doing something kind of hard on your own, putting on your boots and getting to work. Now, bootstrapping has many pros, okay? So first of all, you have complete control over the growth of your business. And as a control freak entrepreneur, you know that that's definitely a good thing. So you won't need to hustle for anyone else's expectations. You don't have anyone else invested who wants to get involved in how you do things because they're so attached to the success of your company. Okay. Another really great thing about bootstrapping is that as you're doing it over time, you get to gather a lot of evidence and build a real community of followers around your business so that when it finally does feel like the right time to ask for external finance, you're actually more likely to get it and to be able to prove your value and your effectiveness as a business because you've been doing it for a while and the proof is in the pudding. For example, Fred and Charlie, the co-founders of Turn, bootstrapped for a very long time before taking any funding for Turn. So they used to run pilots of business support workshops for refugee entrepreneurs. Over time, they were able to quantify, showing the data of a lot of impact. And they could clearly showcase that what they were doing was working well. And that's what helped them get all the grant funding that they asked for. Not all of it, of course, but a lot of grant funding when they decided to go for it. Now, their hard work bootstrapping turn also lent them a flexibility, a relentless focus, and a scrappy kind of resourcefulness that is still deeply ingrained in the turn culture today. So there were a lot of pros for turn bootstrapping and a lot of pros for many companies who bootstrap. But even Fred will admit that the day that they did get their first grant was a very exciting day because it meant that they could finally do turn professionally full time and even hire other people to help them. So they could cover their personal costs and just like focus on actually building a turn for real once they had that external finance to pay themselves and to even pay other members of a team. And these are some of the realities of bootstrapping, my friends, is that it takes a lot of mental strength and a lot of hard work to do everything yourself. It's not a fast track to hiring your team or to scaling your business and to having a really high volume of sales. You have to really have a lot of focus to be able to sustain for a long time without a cash injection. You need patience, you need a high risk tolerance, a really good eye for opportunity, loads of guile, and you need to make sacrifices for collaboration and partnership with others. You might need to rope in some volunteers, etc., to keep your costs super low and ensure you're bringing in profit that you can then reinvest and have a really strong plan for reinvesting it in a way that brings back more returns when you're bootstrapping. Ultimately, you will likely take multiple funding pathways at once in your life as an entrepreneur. It's all about choosing the right funding or the right funding mix. Okay. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to put all your money on one number. For example, maybe you're applying for grants and raising money through donations. And at some point, you begin a crowdfunding campaign around a certain aspect of the mission of your business. And all along the way, you're also bootstrapping, reinvesting any money that you do make into growing the business and growing the revenue, and also putting your personal finances into it. In order to approach a funder professionally and seriously, you'll need a complete financial planning tool that takes into account how much money you will invest from your own resources, clearly shows your business model, your operating costs, and your profit margins that you plan to reinvest into the business growth, in addition to the external startup costs that you will seek. What you plan to use these funds to invest into your business, and at which point you plan to see returns on that investment. That's what funders are going to want to see. For example, if your startup costs involve some one-off costs like buying a piece of equipment that's going to help you produce 10 times faster than you currently do, how much of your personal profits can you bootstrap and pour into the cost of that equipment? And how much external finance do you need to seek from a funder? You're going to need to show them how long it's going to take you to put turn the cost of that machine into higher profits for your business. Okay. That is what the funder is going to want to see. So focus on that. Make a clear list about your one-off starting costs, startup costs, and forecast how long it might take you to start seeing profits after you have that equipment or other startup investments.
So far, so good. In Takeoff, you have made good progress on developing your business model. Many of you have begun the brand and the web booster processes. You are building a financial model that is sound. As you are noticing, some things can really take a while, longer than you might have thought. And fundraising is no different. Okay. Fundraising takes time. It takes a lot of preparation. But all the things you've done so far will already be very useful for that. In fact, in a way, you've been preparing for fundraising this whole time. You can make progress even between now and our first workshop back in January. But let's be completely realistic. You will be fundraising in the new year, probably. Okay. So if you want to have a loan by the end of the program, you'll want to start preparing your application in January. If you want to access a grant before the end of the program, you'll want to start applying for your grants in January. If you want to get angel finance, it will take at least that long, probably much longer. And if you want to crowdfund, the best time for you to do it is during the launch period, through the launch events, because Turn is going to support your campaign and cause a lot of hullabaloo and a lot of attention during that launch campaign. So if you want to do a crowdfunding campaign, that is the best time to do it. Okay. But in general, the launch is going to be a wonderful time for all of you to pursue your funding opportunities. Okay. For example, you're going to want to invite key potential funders to your launch event. You're going to want to document your launch event very well so that you can show it to potential funders later. Okay. All of these things are coming up in the new year. We're going to remind you about it, but it's a good thing to start thinking about now. So alongside that, there's of course the formal parts of your business, which you're going to need to have in place to be able to get funding as well as to launch your business. And that's why our first workshop of the new year is going to be trading safely on Tuesday, January 11th, same bat time, same bat place. Make a plan with your mentor to make progress over the break, my friends. Many of you will notice your coaches are taking a little holiday between basically next week and very early January. But entrepreneurship never sleeps. Okay. You should feel free to use your WhatsApp groups, ask questions, send us emails. We'll do our best to reply as promptly as possible. Obviously, still meet with your mentor and keep on working on your business. Don't sleep on it, friends. When we come back in January, it's going to be like, bam, bam, boom, we're launching. Ah! If you're in batch 1 of Brand Booster or Web Booster, keep those processes going. You don't want to get stuck in a traffic jam in January with your web and your brand. Okay. So if you've already started that stuff, then keep going, friends. Happy New Year. Other than that, oh man, we can't wait to see you in 2022. If you're feeling like sharing, let us know. What's your resolution? What do you intend to do in 2022? Put it in the chat. I want to see everybody's wishes, everybody's goals. No one's going to judge you if you don't fulfill your resolutions. That's pretty standard. But yeah, we would love for you to pop that in the chat. We want to see your feedback, friends. You can go to bit.ly/turn feedback, or you can scan this QR code and let us know what you thought and what we could do better. It was so nice to spend some time with you. We are ending early. You guys, I think I might have thrown us for a loop. This is our gift to you, you guys. We are giving you an extra 10 minutes of your life. Congratulations. But in exchange, you must give us feedback. And that's what I'm going to say. That is your gift to turn this year. I have only gotten feedback from like 8 of the people that are in this room right now. So I would really love for you to go to bit.ly/turn feedback. I will put that in the chat right now. Please give Lucas, Ellie, Fred, and I the gift of your recognition and your opinions.